Okay, would you buy a house knowing that work was done without permits?
I would.
I would say it depends on what the work is.
Yeah.
And viewing it how the work seems to be done.
I think I also know the risks.
Yeah.
So knowing the risks, again, I can make an educated decision.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to like educate buyers on those risks so
Yeah.
that they can make the educated decision, but the decision will be different for everyone. I think maybe the only thing I would be a little nervous is like removing load-bearing walls, no permits.
Yeah.
For sure.
But everything else,
Or
I
those
think,
major, yeah.
I agree. I think it depends on the work,
Yeah.
though, for sure. Like, we've had listings where there was a garage and there shouldn't be a garage, right? So that likelihood of getting caught by the city, you're probably going to get caught. Like, it's just a matter of time. Will they make you tear down the garage in a worst case scenario? I haven't seen it yet, but you never know. It depends on how it was constructed and how confident people really are in that construction. So,
and again, I mean, if you're okay with in 10 years, the city might make you tear down this garage, then fill your boots.
absolutely, absolutely.
And I wouldn't let it stop me from buying my dream house,
No,
right? Like it's not,
absolutely not.
a deal breaker. Ideally, in a perfect world,
Yeah.
everything's done by the book, but
Yeah.
I think there's a part of it too that is like the type of home. Like if it's a really, really old house done with a
Yeah.
lot of work without permits, like you may be starting from scratch
Right.
if you
Yeah.
go back down to studs, right? So I think it just comes down to, like you guys said, being comfortable with what the work is and knowing that if you can fix it, what that dollar amount is. I mean,
yeah.
For example, like I've had a client before where full kitchen done without permits, lots of plumbing, but he was a plumber. So of course, like he knew the risk, he knew what he was getting into, whereas maybe someone else might not have, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, true. It really depends on the
Case
buyer.
by
too.
case,
Like,
yeah.
am I going to sell it to this buyer who's a first-time home buyer, has
Yeah.
no idea what they're getting into, or am I going to sell it to the guy that has renovated his house 10 times and knows exactly what to do if it turns out they have to do rework, right? So,
Or if they're planning to gut it anyways.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, the basement
Yeah.
was finished
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
permits, but they're planning to gut it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's all going to be open anyways.
Yeah.
So.
yeah.
and how well was the work done? Was
Right.
it
Yeah.
homeowner done? Was
Yeah.
it done by a contractor who just didn't
Yeah.
pull the permits? Like, you know, it's very specific to case, but
But yeah, and personal example, we're sitting in our house right now, Logan and I, and we knew the sunroom was added without permits. We knew it was poorly done based on inspection. Are we okay with the city coming and saying you have to tear down this sunroom? We wouldn't care. We knew also, even though it wasn't disclosed to us, but from checking permit history, we knew that our basement wasn't finished according to the city, even though it was finished when we purchased it. But that didn't bother us either because we
Yeah.
were going to redo it at some point and get proper permits when we did.
And you're aware going into, right?
Yeah.
Or typically you're
Yeah.
aware going into the purchase.
For sure. So,
I will say too, I've seen like really good work done without permits,
Yeah.
and I've seen really bad work done with permits. So it's
yeah, true.
that's,
That's very true. Yeah. Even new construction, you're like, how did they pass final inspection on some of this? But yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Okay.